And hello? Hello? Hello?
Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Mine's not live. Mine's not live. Honey boo boo.
1, 2, 1, 2. Hurry
Hello?
up.
Hello? Hello?
Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Check 1, 2.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are tuned in right now on layer9.ca, you may indeed be watching from the bunker the Gore-Gore RollerGirls taking on the Chicks Ahoy. I'm Mr. Whistler, joined by Pink Slamminade.
Hello.
And we're just shaking out the cobwebs here, our first broadcast of the year. And we've just seen the first jam come to a quick end. Gore's putting up a single point on the board. We'll get to some roster run-throughs shortly.
What you need to know is the game is on. Both teams undefeated so far in the home season. Both 2-0, taking wins over the Dolls and the Betties. Both teams are going to be moving on to quarterfinals to play each other again. It's just a matter of how they're seeded.
Well, exactly. Let's do this one more time with feeling. That'll happen
Yes.
March 12th, again here at the bunker in Downsview Park in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
This is
Right
our
now,
dress rehearsal only.
Wearing the star for the Chicks Ahoy's number 213. That is Sleeper Hold. Sleeper Hold lead jammer right now for the Chicks. Chicks in green. The Gore-Gore RollerGirls wearing the leopard print.
Lexicon getting recycled here by Rosemary's Rabies, working together with Boxcar. Terrifying, looking to open up a hole in the front here. Lexicon finally completing her initial pass. Sleeper Hold takes her points, calls off that jam. 4 points, first blood for the Chicks. Sorry, second blood for the Chicks.
Second blood. Wachter, number 862 for the Gores, hitting the penalty box towards the end of that jam. Quick run through of the Gores roster. 1485 Victory Lap, 1528 Tara Bush, 1618 is Moose Knuckles, 212 Jillamal, 25 Lexicon, 27 Ginger Snapper, 30 is Murder Cat, 300's Gamma Ray, 313 Susie Scalper, 422 Beaver Mansbridge, 52 Full Deck, 60 Chronic, 862 Wachter, and 909 Knocker Mom.
Gore's taking the front here for the start, and Banshee working against some very solid defense here. Meanwhile, Murder Cat recycled back, gets by 4 Chicks to become lead jammer.
Yeah, Banshee wearing the star for the Chicks, recent transfer to Toronto Roller Derby.
Knocked on the outside by Moose Knuckles, but no pass, no penalty, completes that initial. Big jump here from Murder Cat.
And no penalty went to Banshee. However, Moose Knuckles did pick up a trip to the box, so that's MK's first box trip. 1 point comes in for the Gores. After 3 jams, Chicks with 4, Gore-Gore RollerGirls with 2.
Our Chicks roster, of course, is 042 Scandinavian, 1017 Bigley Smalls, 1285 Slamminade, 1312 Angard, 15 Rosemary's Rabies, 1977 R2 Smack You, 210 Boxcar, 213 Sleeper Hold, 33 Wheels of Misfortune, 333 Monster Muffin, 47 Banshee, 55 Joss Whelan, 8107 Gorshak, and 867 Vag Lightning.
Beaver Mansbridge looking for purchase, going inside and outside line. However, that's going to be R2 Smack You, number 1977, picking up lead jammer status for Chicks Ahoy.
Beaver Mansbridge racing in front of that pack, gets around Boxcar, completes her initial pass. We're seeing R2 taken to the outside of turn 2.
As they head down into turn 3, R2 finishes that pass, puts up the 4 points. Chicks Ahoy now out in front, 8-2 in the regular season thus far. Chicks Ahoy and Gore-Gore RollerGirls, very similar records. Chicks, 334 points for in 2 games, only 246 against. The Gores with 321 points for and 247 points against. Their point differentials only 14 points apart, so when it comes down to the math, the Chicks have that slight edge. Winner of this game, though, will claim first place in the regular season standings.
Absolutely. Both of these teams looking like they've got a very good chance at battle for the boot, but it'll depend on the outcome of the next couple games. Lexicon, your lead jammer for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls.
Yeah, Lexi picking up lead status. Jammer of record for the Chicks Ahoy, currently 333 Monster Muffin. Lexi's teammate with the Toronto Roller Derby All-Stars this season.
Caught behind Moose Knuckles at the front, finally gets around. It's a forearm for Monster Muffin, and she's headed to the penalty box. She's a power jam for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls.
And that jam gets called a little quickly there, so 2 points to the Gores, but they're going to have a strong power start as Monster Muffin has yet to take that seat in the penalty box. 8 points for the Chicks Ahoy. Gores with 4. Very low scoring here in the early going, P-Slam. But what we're seeing, I think, is that these are the elite teams currently in Toronto Roller Derby. They have a storied history. They've played each other and fought. And it's been a couple years since they've got that opportunity, but here they are in first place. It's like 2012 all over again.
Yeah, it's a really strong showing here from both teams, and especially the jammers seem very well matched. A lot of good offense here and low scoring, just because both jammers having, a lot of success here. Speaking of which, Murder Cat, your lead jammer for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. We've still got 10 seconds left for Monster Muffin.
Chicks taking a front wall. Murder Cat being drawn back through the infield. Boxcar with the drawback succeeds in creating that track cut. And that's now a power jam for the Chicks Ahoy.
Absolutely. Monster Muffin returns to play. That's going to be a full 30 seconds for Murder Cat. Chicks attempting some offense here at the front. Boxcar looking to make a hole on the inside, and successful pass for Monster Muffin.
Everybody here just resetting between turns 3 and 4. Gores with a 3-wall up at the front. Victory lap goes in for the block. Gets hit hard by Monster Muffin. Finds a way around it. Now trying to get around Terrifying up at the front. Does. Tara Bush, I should say. Terrifying. Yeah, did change her derby name this year. Is now Tara Bush. 5 in the sky for Monster Muffin.
Tara Bush and Moose Knuckles often trading off as the sort of the last line of defense for the Gore defense, and a big fall over Jillamal. That's a low block for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls.
Actually, victory lap there wearing the pivot stripe, picking up that low block. But yeah, big collision at turn 1. Advantage goes to Monster Muffin. Monster Muffin threading the needle.
Picking up a hip whip from Boxcar while she sends Murder Cat to the inside of turn 3.
So picks up 4 points on that pass. Already a 14-0 jam for the Chicks Ahoy. Sneaks in on the inside.
A knife through butter picks up an extra 4 points right at the dying moments of that jam. 5 points, rather, a 5-point grand slam.
And there were 5 left on the floor there by the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. So that jam goes 19-5 in favor of the Chicks Ahoy. Chicks Ahoy starting to open it up here, 27-10.
Yeah.
Before the home opener last month, Pink Slamminade, the Chicks Ahoy actually hadn't won a home game in about 2 years, and now they're on. They've won 2 straight, battling here for first place. They're looking like the real deal, the team in green.
Absolutely, and it looked for a minute like that power jam for Gores might take some of the wind out of their sails. But sleeper hold again, lead jammer for the Chicks Ahoy. They are on a streak right now.
Sleeper hold with that lead. Beaver Mansbridge not too far behind, wearing the star for the Gores. Sleeper goes out at turn 3, calls it, hands on hips, but skating out of bounds penalty being issued to sleeper hold, it appears.
The jam is not over when you touch your hips. It's over when the whistle blows.
They are, a little discussion here between the officials. Sleeper has been waved back out of the box. So the Chicks do get to field a jammer. Banshee is out there on the 12:34 skate go start line.
That could have been an absolute disaster.
But now Banshee going up against Lexicon. Lexi takes the inside line, picks up lead status.
Banshee hot on her heels around the outside of turn 1. And it's just going to be a scramble for the Chicks to try and save those points. Chronic looking to hold one in the back. And Gores pick up 1 point on the curve there. Your score now 11-30.
Gores do lose their pivot. Whacked her at the end of that jam to a penalty. Appears that it was a forearm call. So Wachter's sitting on her second box trip here in the early going. 10 minutes gone. Score is 30 for the Chicks Ahoy, 11 for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls.
Yep. Low scores, but a lot of action on this track. R2 Smack You going up against Victory Lap for our next jam, and it's R2 Smack You on the outside of the straightaway. Victory Lap, or sorry, that's Murder Cat. Recycle to the back.
R2 Smack You now coming up towards the back of the pack, comes around the outside at turn 2, just goes over the line, full deck now with the drawback. Meanwhile, Bigley Smalls mirroring that move with a drawback on Murder Cat from the inside.
Yeah,
Both jammers go back to the pivot line.
Joss Whelan doing some pair work here to really... Oh, and it's a track cut for Murder Cat. It's going to send her to the box. Star still in hand. R2 Smacky, your only jammer on the track at the moment and picking up on her scoring pass.
We know that Chicks Ahoy can definitely capitalize on power jam situations. They find themselves in one right now. R2 Smack You already with the 5-point pass. 24-point lead now for the Chicks Ahoy.
Mm-hmm. Just glancing at the penalty board here, I can see already about 10 or 12 penalties picked up so far for the Gores. We're only 11 points into the first period.
And only one penalty thus far for the Chicks Ahoy on that whiteboard.
As we say that, though, we're seeing a track cut signal to R2, which means we're switching up power jams. Gores now, only team scoring.
Murder Cat running into some interference, now getting dragged back by Joss Whelan. Star in hand now for Murder Cat. Looking for something to do with it. Does not hand it off to Wachter. It's a stash back on the helmet. About half a lap to go to re-engage with that pack for Murder Cat.
Bigley Smalls picking up a track cut herself, headed to the box to join R2, and Murder Cat attempts a bit of a move on the inside. Not quite. Recycled to the back by Joss Whelan. And that's our jam.
So a bit of chaos here in the early going.
Yes.
Scoreboard is showing 35-11 for the Chicks Ahoy. Speaking of chaos, of course, we're just about a month away from Quad City Chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
7th annual tournament here held by Toronto Roller Derby at about teams and other participants on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned online for all of the dates. You want to know who's playing, when they're playing.
This is, of course, now a WFTDA recognized tournament we're going to be holding here, and a lot of the same skaters you're watching will be participating in that tournament as members of the All-Stars. Beaver Mansbridge, your lead jammer right now for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. Sleeper hold recycled to the back by Chronic, it looks like. 5-point Grand Slam goes into the air, and things are bunched up on turn 1 here as Sleeper Hold looks to complete her initial pass. Hole opening up here by Bigley Smalls.
Nice work there by the Chicks. Not just Bigley Smalls, also seeing a couple of other blockers getting to the front, and Boxcar doing some fine blocking work there at the front of that pack as well.
Boxcar, a recent transfer from the Nord All-Stars, our neighbors to the north. She's also skating on the All-Stars at TORD this season.
She is indeed. And All-Stars, of course, this year is a combined roster fielding both A and B teams. So temporarily we've retired the Bay Street Bruisers moniker used by the B team and the CN Power moniker formerly used by the A team.
It's just going to denote the different teams when they're both playing at once, like a Quad City Chaos coming up. Banshee, your jammer right now for the Chicks, and it's Lexicon jamming for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. Susie Scalper holding Banshee at the back, and Lexicon is your lead jammer. Banshee once again taking the outside of turn 1 and
big
completes her
spin
initial
around there.
pass.
Bit of spinorama action. Angard dropped like a hot rock there by Moose Knuckles at turn 1.
That's fists in the air, 0-0 jam. Your score right now, 35-18 in favor of the Chicks Ahoy.
Now on the 12:34 Skateco start line, new jammer for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. That's actually going to be Knockermom, number 909.
She's up against R2 Smack You from the Chicks Ahoy. Looks like we've got a 3-on-3 pack right now.
For those of you watching at home, we are kind of hidden behind the benches here at the Boutcast table. Slightly obstructed view.
We can tell you a lot about the backs of everyone's helmets, though, if you want to know. Just tweet us.
We can tell you what's in everyone's water bottle.
Yeah. Lead jammer is Knocker Mom for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. Squeezing through Slamminade and Rosemary's Rabies. She picks up her 5-point grand slam. Boxcar headed to the penalty box, and R2 Smack You just now finishing her initial pass.
Yeah, Boxcar, that was a track cut. And Wachter is now also in the box for the third trip. 4 more points for Knocker Mom. Knocker Mom going 9-0 on that jam, and that brings the gap to double digits, 35-27 in favor of the Chicks Ahoy, just halfway through the first half.
We'd like to give a shout out to Roller Derby Athletics, Toronto Roller Derby's official training partner, making them safe, strong, and unstoppable.
Monster Muffin and Beaver Mansbridge coming off the 12:34 Skate-Co start line. Monster Muffin finds room in lanes 3 and 4, splits the difference and picks up lead status. Beaver, meanwhile, being taken back to the infield, showing some fine toe stop work there up the inside.
Incredibly fast jam right now. Both jammers just careening into the pack. 2 points picked up by Monster Muffin. Of course, she picks up Wachter's ghost point.
Timeout here being called by the team in green, by the Chicks Ahoy. So they're going to reset because right now they've got picked up a 2-0 on that one. Only a 10-point lead here. 14 minutes left on the period clock, 14:05, I should say. And earlier this evening, in a game that was not broadcast live, but will be available for later viewing, trackside footage on layer9.ca. Death Track Dolls took on the Smoke City Betties. Dolls came out ahead with their first victory of the year, 224-132. That means that the Death Track Dolls will finish the regular season in third place. And on March 12th, they will face the now fourth place Smoke City Betties in the first game of a 2-game quarterfinal event.
Yep.
Where playoffs are working this year, for those of you who are just tuning in to this information, it's a traditional page playoff system. So the quarterfinal, third place, fourth. Winner of that advances to the semifinal. First place, second. Winner of that advances directly to the battle for the boot in June.
Yep.
Loser gets a second shot at the can, and they will play the winner of the 3-4 quarterfinal in that semifinal. So everybody gets the opportunity to have a couple more games going into the playoffs. Playoff tickets are on sale currently on brown paper tickets. Check out the Toronto Roller Derby listing. Find it on our website.
And at the end of that timeout, we've got Sleeper Hold jamming against Lexicon. 3-on-3 pack right now. Sleeper Hold taken to the outside by Victory Lap. Lexicon racing up the center, knocked down by Boxcar. She heads all the way to the back, and Sleeper Hold is your lead jammer. Forearm goes to Boxcar for that hit.
Sleeper Hold, meanwhile, had basically kind of crabbed a bit around Victory Lap around the outside, stayed just in bounds, now already with 5 points. Going to go back to the well for more. Lexicon has completed her initial pass. Sleeper, though, has room to work with.
There, and she does. Let's see if she picked up any points on the outside. 3 points going to Chicks Ahoy.
So whatever they said in that timeout just gave them enough to reset. They go 8-0 on that one. 45-27 is your score.
Chicks Ahoy hoping not to get frantic, keep things cool. The Gores are closing in on that score, so.
Chicks are keeping their jammer rotation a little shorter now. Banshee, number 47, going back to the 12:34 Skate Coast jammer line, facing off against number 30, Murdercat.
Another 3-on-3 start as we've got 2 blockers sitting it out in the penalty box. Banshee hopping over full deck, stays in bounds, falls, picks up lead, but is recycled to the back.
That order of operations on that was kind of like a bedmass experience.
It's exactly
like, okay,
that.
What happened in what order and how does it count?
Her toe stayed in for just long enough for 2 whistles to blow, and it's a track cut for Murdercat, which means a lead jam and a power jam for Banshee, who grins at her bench.
Yeah, that grin was so huge. I thought the mouth guard was going to come out. Stays in, which is good.
Specially designed.
Yes.
Racing up the outside of the turn like she does, just narrowly misses Gillimal. 5-point grand slam on the board for the Chicks.
Now this Gore-Gore RollerGirls team, thank you, is still very dominant here on the track. They still have the majority of their complement of strong blockers. Only one they're really missing right now, I'd say, would be Santa Muerte. Santa just returned from a sojourn to Australia, is in the house, will no doubt be available for the semifinal.
That's really going to affect how things go forward because they've been playing without her so far, and she's a really invaluable member of that roster.
R2 Smack You, number 1977, on the 1234 Skate Co. jammer line for the Chicks Ahoy. 422 Beaver Mansbridge countering for the Gores.
Finally have a full pack here, 4-on-4 start, and Beaver Mansbridge ripping right at the center of that cube formation from the Chicks. Sneaks by on the inside, cinches lead jammer status. Meanwhile, R2 knocked to the infield and recycled back.
Almost had a penalty called on the inside, and it was like, no.
Nope, never mind. I'm sorry.
I don't have one of those.
It's not you, it's me. That's what the ref said. R2 Smack You still having some trouble here getting out of the pack. And we have a 5-point grand slam in the air for Beaver Mansbridge. Boxcar heading to the penalty box once again for an out-of-play penalty this time.
So Boxcar already starting to get into a little bit of penalty trouble here in the early going for the Chicks Ahoy. That is her fourth. Wachter, number 862 for the Gores, also with 4 box trips at this point in time. Beaver with the call. That's going to put another 4 points there on the board. So that jam goes 9-0 in favor of the Gore-Gore RollerGirls, but they are still behind by 19 points to the Chicks Ahoy, 55-36. 10 minutes left on the period clock.
Chicks Ahoy starting to get drawn into some of the penalty trouble we saw from the Gores earlier in the game.
So right now we're looking at both teams setting up some triangles up at the front. Chicks have Vag, Lightning, Joss Whelan, and Bigley Smalls. Gores countering with Gillimal, Full Deck, and Gamma Ray. Monster Muffin, jammer for the Chicks Ahoy, comes up the outside to the inside, spreads everyone apart like butter on the biggest piece of bread, picks up lead status.
Knocker Mom taken to the infield by Bigley Smalls, but she makes it through on the inside line, completes her initial pass. Monster Muffin looking to complete a scoring pass before she gets back. Hands in the air and then on her hips. That's a 4-point jam for the Chicks Ahoy.
Lots of great track awareness and just general awareness there from Monster Muffin, looking to the bench, knowing where she's at. What am I going to do here? Tess D'Urberville with the call, like, yeah, call that one. We're going to keep that as a nice 4-0. One pass, and we're done. And they're going to put up a few more of those the rate they're going. 9 minutes left in the period clock. They are up now by 23 points.
Lexicon facing off against Sleeper Hold. Chicks Ahoy taking the back line. 4-on-3 pack advantage for Green. We have Sleeper Hold pressing up the outside. Again, it's Tara Bush, the last Gore to best, and she does lead. Jammer goes to the Chicks Ahoy.
Chronic picking up a multiplayer block for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls early in that pass.
Lexicon
now
with a stash being recycled back by Boxcar. Sleeper Hold, meanwhile, picks up a 5-point natural grand slam. Pack has just now progressed past turn 2. And a pass to victory lap. Boxcar tries to stem the flow, but she makes it through. Jam is not called. Just a lot of refs got angry at the same time.
And Sleeper Hold basically giving this signal to her own bench, like, no, I'm going to keep going with the finger in the air. Like, this is what I'm doing.
There's a school of thought that says if the panty gets passed, you run it long because they don't have the person they intended to jam out there. Sleeper Hold likes her odds, picks up another 4 points. Victory lap stays in despite Boxcar with the edge out.
And while the Gores have picked up 4 points now on this pass, it's still a 9-point advantage on this jam overall. Sleeper now getting knocked into the infield at turn 2. Calls from her knees, does pick up 3 more points. So running that one long in the end does pay off. Picks up a 12-point advantage, 75-40. Chicks now ahead by 35 points.
A really good run here for the Chicks Ahoy, finding their footing.
Gore-Gore RollerGirls now calling a team timeout. Take advantage of this opportunity to do a very quick run-through of the officiating roster for this game. Head referee for this game would be Parking Lot, our old friend who's now affiliated with the Hammer City RollerGirls out of Hamilton, Ontario. Inside pack ref is Guilo for Show. Jam refs are My Ref Nut and Samiracle. OPRs are Penny Whistler, Shields, and Classic Joker.
Of course, our bench coaches for this evening on the Chicks Ahoy bench, we've got Pretty and Tess Derbyville. And for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls, we've got Gil T. Pleasure and Candy Bar.
Candy Bar, no stranger to Toronto Roller Derby. Candy Bar actually one of the co-founders going back to the very beginning of the original Smoke City Betties, who later splintered and formed the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. Candy Bar has stepped down after skating for the better part of 9 years with Toronto Roller Derby. Still involved, though, here on the bench with the Gores, wearing the A this evening.
At the conclusion of that timeout, we've got Beaver Mansbridge facing off against Banshee. Chicks Ahoy taking the back line with 4.
Chicks did receive one more point during that timeout, actually, so they're now at 76 points.
36-point differential, and Banshee races up the outside again. She is your lead jammer for the Chicks Ahoy. Beaver Mansbridge running into that wall of green, trying to press through, knocked to the outside by Bigley Smalls, who takes a knee herself.
This is an intriguing jammer matchup, actually. Banshee and Beaver, very similar skating styles, both very comfortable on their toe stops. And look at that move, staying in bounds, puts up the points. Banshee, crowd erupts, bench erupts.
The Chicks are on their feet. I'm excited to see a little more spark out of the Gores in that last jam, but they may be trying to calm it down a little bit. They did run into a lot of penalty trouble at the beginning, so this could be their sort of slow and steady, keep your zen. We're still playing again in the next game in the quarterfinals. And
the Gore-Gore RollerGirls do have the ability to rein it in when they need to. I've seen them do that time and time again over the years. It doesn't seem to matter who's on that roster. If they do get into trouble in the early goings, you're going to see a very different team as the game goes on, especially in that second half.
As recently as last weekend, actually, against the Dolls, same situation. But mid-jam right now, we've got a power jam for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. R2 Smack You sent to the penalty box on a back block call, and Murder Cat is your lead and only jammer.
He is coming up behind Joss Whelan, who just escaped from the penalty box for the Chicks Ahoy. So Joss now trying to get up to the front.
Being goaded by the Gores. It's their version of offense. Little toe move here on the inside by Murder Cat, but she's reabsorbed by Wheels of Misfortune. Makes it around, picks up her 5-point grand slam. A lot of tussling here between the blockers. So we're still waiting on R2 to be released from the box. It's another 5-point grand slam on the board for Murder Cat as R2 Smack You returns to play.
R2 with star in hand has handed it off to the pivot. Rosemary's Rabies, number 15. Rabies now trying to escape from that 3-wall at the front and does. Now the jammer of record for the Chicks Ahoy.
Murder Cat looking to take the outside of the turn 1. Gets stuck behind Wheels of Misfortune. Still picks up 2 points in that pass. A 12-0 jam for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. Pulls them a little bit closer to the Chicks Ahoy. Now your score 80-52. 4 minutes left in the first half.
Yeah, so they're going to be looking for more of those, of course. And like I said, they have that in their pockets. That is something we're going to see more and more of again. Just forcing the cuts, forcing the penalties on the opposing jammers. Give their own jammers a lot more room to work with and then just focus on that defense.
And the Gores are a very aggressive team, and they know how to take those jammers to the line. And it's such an easy trap for a desperate jammer who just wants to get out, to have them underestimate by an inch, a half an inch, when they have to come in. Monster Muffin, of course, picking up lead jammer for the Chicks Ahoy, hotly pursued by Lexicon from the Gore-Gore RollerGirls.
Lexi, though, found the slimmest of openings on the inside line and opened that door a much wider crack than I think the Chicks realized was there. So she was not far behind. That's going to force the early call off. A couple of donuts in the air and no points for either team.
Toronto Roller Derby would like to thank Blast Athletics, the official gym of the Toronto Roller Derby All-Stars. Go to blastathletics.com.
And have a blast.
You can have a blast. And you can be athletic.
At the same time.
At the same time.
On the 1234 Skate-Go Jammer line right now, that's number 213, Sleeper Hold for the Chicks Ahoy. Beaver Mansbridge again with the star for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls, number 422. Beaver and Sleeper both looking for the same opening. Both have to get around wheels of misfortune. Beaver escapes ever so slightly ahead and is passed by Sleeper.
Beaver biding her time, looks at the bench, calls off that jam. Really quickly overtaken by Sleeper Hold, who took the outside versus Beaver's inside.
Sleeper Hold transferring in the offseason from the Death Track Dolls, with whom she had skated for 2 seasons here in Toronto Roller Derby. Has been a very valuable addition, I'd say, to the Chicks roster. We've seen her do some blocking here and there. Right now, though, they're kind of keeping her a bit heavier in that jammer rotation. And she was Rookie of the Year in 2014, mostly in regards for her play as a jammer that year with the Death Track Dolls.
And Jammer of the Year last year, I believe. No? Maybe?
It's entirely possible. I do not have that information at my fingertips.
I don't have confidence in that information at my fingertips. And it's lead jammer for the Chicks Ahoy. Oh, it's not lead jammer for the Chicks Ahoy.
Now, that was a quick call there by Murder Cat. Again, a couple of zeros being put up on the board. Parade, though, into the penalty box right now. But Bigley Smalls and Moose Knuckles both making an appearance. Waiting to see them show up on the whiteboard. We're still using whiteboards here at Toronto Roller Derby because we are old school.
Absolutely. Another 3-on-3 start. Both teams look to have practiced their 3 defense because they really need to use it in this game. Very penalty heavy. Lexicon versus R2 Smack You. Chicks in front, digging in. And R2 Smack You takes a hip whip on the outside. It is Lexicon, your lead jammer.
Lexi was very
down.
Powerful there. Basically forced that entire triangle off the inside line. Again, a bit of a move there. She loves that inside line and will take it every chance she gets. And gave herself her own opportunity basically there and ran with it. Puts up a 3 spot for the Gores.
Yeah, Chicks really seem to be favoring the outside in almost every case. Your score now 80-55 in favor of the Chicks Ahoy. 25 points separating these teams. This is going to be our last gym of the half.
Beaver Mansbridge and Monster Muffin with the stars. Monster Muffin tends to start a couple of feet behind the line. Beaver starts on that line. The Beaver has crossed the pivot line before Monster Muffin gets more than a couple feet past the start line.
Beaver Mansbridge, of course, your lead jammer for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. Monster Muffin, like we said, taking that outside, making it around. Finally, Beaver Mansbridge is going to complete her scoring pass. A quick call-off from the Gore-Gore RollerGirls, which brings us to halftime.
Yeah, I wondered if she was even going to consider going back for another pass there and just enjoy that lead. But no, whistles it down. So our score, 80 for the Chicks Ahoy, 59 for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. Again, as I noted before, an official review is going to be called here. Well, it's bringing you the results of that, I would say, at the end of halftime.
Absolutely. Go
These
get
conversations
a snack,
can go
meet us
take a
back
while.
here.
But just to wrap things up, though, what I was going to say was, as I mentioned before, the Gores are a team that can really turn things around as the game goes on in the second half. We're already seeing a bit more noise from them than we had seen in the early goings. So 21 points, that's nothing.
No,
you know?
and the Gore-Gore RollerGirls have a lot of veteran skaters as well as veteran bench managers who, who've been watching this game as closely as we have and can take some of that back to the change room. It's absolutely anyone's game at this point.
All right, so we'll be back in about 12 to 14 minutes, something approximately like that. Don't go too far. Don't shut off your computer. Leave it on.
Yes.
I'm Mr. Whistler. This is Pink Slamminade. We'll be back.
All right, we are back from halftime.
Now we're back.
We're back for sure, for real now. So at the conclusion of that first half, we had an official review. So I just spoke to parking lot, and that was they're looking. Gores were looking for a track cut call on the green jammer, but it was determined that she did not exit the track. So no call stands. Looking at the penalties right now, Chicks Ahoy number 210, that's Boxcar, has 4 penalties. But we have 8 chicks with no penalties at all. Versus the Gore-Gore RollerGirls, we've got Moose Knuckles on 4, Chronic on 4, and Wachter on 4, 3 with no penalties.
So the Gore's in a bit of penalty trouble in the early going. See if they can rein that in the second half.
That's something that normally improves in the second half.
They're only down by 21 points, 80-59. And speaking of penalties, I did have I ran into Vag Lighting very quickly. Very proud of the clean whiteboard as it stands right now for Vag Lighting. We'll see if that holds.
Points for good behavior.
A couple quick little shout-outs. Had a message during halftime from Rainbow Fight, Earl Fenn Rainbow, watching out in Newfoundland. Hello, Rainbow. Good to hear from you. And
hear from you 1.5 hours into the future.
That's right. Let us know what it's like. What's the weather like?
Yes.
Also, a quick shout out for Dinah Hercha watching in Montreal.
Oh.
The Dinah is out there in Derbyland. Any of the rest of you who are watching, if you have my number, send me a text. We don't have the whole chat thing set up right now, but we that'll be coming. And again, we're shaking out the cobwebs here. It's our first broadcast of the year at Toronto Roller Derby. And I think as the night goes on, we're not going to be starting to introduce instant replay in the next 10 minutes, but things are moving along. We do hope to have a couple of post-game interviews.
Maybe some salsa dancing.
Ooh, I missed that email. I didn't know we were going to have salsa dancing.
Yeah. I ran it by marketing, and they're good with it. They're fine with it.
I'm on marketing. But we're about ready to get going here in the second half. Sleeper hold, and it looks like Lexicon will be the jammers on the 12:34 Skaco start line. Sleeper again looks for that outside line. Lexi was looking for the inside, and now the Chicks have driven her to the opposite end. Sleeper breaks through, though, picks up lead for the Chicks Ahoy.
Bigly Smalls recycles to the front, knocks Lexicon down, but goes down herself. It is all for naught as Lexicon completes her initial pass.
That collision was a bit of a supernova. Those two objects coming together hard and hot, but Lexi did weather it a bit better.
That's a call off from Sleeper Hold. She picks up another 4 points. First of the half for the Chicks Ahoy, 84-59.
Beaver Mansbridge and Banshee on the 12:34 Skaco start line. Again, this matchup, we're seeing it more and more as the evening goes on. Very interesting matchup. Good combination of jammers, similar styles. Chicks taking the back wall. Gores bracing up front.
Susie Scalper still completing her penalty from the first half. A lot of power here coming from Beaver Mansbridge up the inside, but it's Banshee on the out for your lead jammer.
Beaver left all on her lonesome. Bigley Smalls almost catches her at turn 2. Bigley doing double duty here in the blocking core for the Chicks Ahoy.
A little flick there from Susie Scalper sends Banshee out. She calls the jam. Still picks up 1 point for the Chicks Ahoy.
Something we haven't talked about yet, Pink, is the fact that you're a member of the Chicks Ahoy.
That's true. That's true.
We're going to see you in the near future out there in the green?
Absolutely. I've been off on injury for a little while now, but I just got cleared, and you should be seeing me at quarterfinals. I've been trying very hard to be like, you know, not to be like, there's Wheels of Misfortune, queen of my heart and champion of my soul, knocking out, like, we're all friends here. I have friends on the Gores. It's all good.
Well, welcome aboard. This is also your first year as an announcer with Toronto Roller Derby, and I'd like to welcome you aboard on that front also.
Thank you. Sorry for lying about the salsa dancing.
Murder Cat picking up lead status on the inside. R2 Smacky with the Jamistar in hand. Tries to go around the outside. Full deck. Takes her out at turn 1. Is going to take her halfway back to the jammer line.
Ooh, big hit there on Rosemary's Rabies from Murder Cat on the inside, but we still have R2 Smacky stuck behind full deck. That jam is called before an initial pass is completed for the Chicks Ahoy.
But Murder Cat picks up her 4.
see sort of a sheepish look from her as she goes back to her bench. But 85-63 right now for the Chicks Ahoy. 22-point score differential.
Gore is sending Knocker Mom, number 909, back to the 1234 Skako jammer line. Knocker not heavily used in the jammer rotation thus far, but did have a good 9-0 jam in the first half.
Looks like we've got pack advantage here for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. Monster Muffin held up in the back. A big tumble to the inside with Knocker Mom. Bigley Smalls races back, and it is a forearm penalty for Knocker Mom. It's going to make a power jam for the Chicks Ahoy.
Bigley Smalls already skating in her third jam of the half. We're only in the fourth one. Bigley is going out time and time again as a machine right now, wearing the pivot stripe for the Chicks Ahoy. Monster Muffin, meanwhile, swarmed around turn 2, almost finds that opening, runs into the back of Wachter, weathers it, picks up 5 in the sky.
Bigley Smalls, of course, spending a lot of last year's postseason recovering from a serious fracture, but really showing her strength and her value for the Chicks Ahoy, going out time and time again here.
Bigley with the drawback there on the Gore pivot. Victory lap. Knocker Mom back out on the track. Another 5 points for Monster Muffin. Muffin just clarifying with her bench. What do I do? What do I do? I've got the 10. I'm going to keep going.
Knocker Mom still on her initial pass, so there's chance for the Chicks to make this a 14-point jam. Bigley Smalls holding up Knocker Mom in the front, and again with that hit to the infield and recycle back.
Meanwhile, Badge Lightning has picked up the first penalty of the game for herself. Knocker Mom sent back to that penalty box. The second time this jam, this time it's a track cut. Power jam returns for the Chicks Ahoy Monster Muffin. Chicks Ahoy knocking on the door of triple digits. She's going to have them as when this pass completes.
Rough start to the half for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. A double power jam situation here. Badge Lightning racing towards Wachter, looking to open up a hole for Monster Muffin. Hugs from Chronic here, and we see a discussion here between the jammer refs to see how many points that was worth.
It's a miracle, who's the jammer ref for the Chicks in this half, clarifying. End result, 4 more points. So that was an 18-0 jam for Monster Muffin.
Chicks Ahoy clearing the century mark down at 104-63. Sleeper hold, jamming right now for the Chicks Ahoy. Knocker Mom returning from the penalty box, and Chicks were not ready for that. Lead jammer status goes to the Gore-Gore RollerGirls.
Yeah, Knocker Mom like a bat out of hell up the inside line.
The penalty box can feel like hell if you're a jammer. Sleeper hold still struggling through this Gore's pack, getting recycled. Oh, big hit from Boxcar.
Boxcar goes straight to the box.
She knows what she did.
Does not collect $200 or pass go.
5 points in the air for Knocker Mom. Sleeper hold. Heads to the pack. Turns around.
Does the turnaround and the stare down like, you want this?
Yeah.
You want this? And no jam gets called. But Knocker with the 5-point jam there.
Looks like she didn't feel like racing towards the pack just to have to put on the brakes. So she's like, what are we doing here? Do you want this? Is this what you want?
You know this is not going to end well.
You know what would be good? What would be good right now? Some salsa dancing. Come at me. Let's dance. Lexicon going up against Banshee. Looks like we've got 4-on-2 pack advantage for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. It's looking good for Lexicon here at the front against Joss Whelan and Bigley Smalls.
Hammer and nailing there with Bigley was Lexi shoulder to shoulder. Lexi, though, squeezes through, picking up lead status. Banshee looking for the outside line, manages to take it unscathed.
Just all legs here with those big, quick strides right around the other. Oh, my goodness, those. Big hit. Looked like it was Bigley Smalls against Lexicon, or was it Slamminade against Lexicon? Forces her out, makes her call off that jam.
22 and a half minutes left on the period clock. 104-72 in favor of the Chicks Ahoy. Again, this is a battle for first place. This is the final regular season game for these two teams. Currently tied at 2-0 each. The winner can go into the playoffs with all the bragging rights.
Both undefeated, but they'll still have to play each other once again as they are the 1 and 2 spot. Murder Cat, your lead jammer for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. R2 Smack you recycled to the inside by Jill Amal. Takes that out yet again.
A track-cutting penalty coming in here for R2 Smack You, who had the jammer star in hand. This is now a big, big power jam opportunity for Murder Cat and the Gore-Gore RollerGirls.
Chicks Ahoy trying to slow things down in the front. A nice sweep from the inside from the Gore-Gore RollerGirls, but Murder Cat knocked to the out by Slamminade.
No pass, no penalty on Murder Cat.
No pack called. 5 points in the air for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. We are 104-77 right now. Just under 9 minutes into the second half.
R2 Smack You is standing in the penalty box with the star for the Chicks Ahoy. So this is a brief power start.
Brief power start with Beaver Mansbridge at the helm.
Boxcar fan there in the crowd.
Her sign says, "Who knew a boxcar could sail? Go boxcar."
The laws of physics are mystifying sometimes.
It's true.
R2 Smack You
Speaking
now
of physics,
comes up from the outside, but they do track her all the way. Beaver Mansbridge picking up lead status.
a chase out the front there, but R2 Smack You makes it out, and it's a attempted apex jump by Beaver Mansbridge, who calls the jam. A forearm penalty to Bigley Smalls is going to send her to the box wearing the pivot stripe. 0-all in that last jam. Your score still 104-77.
Chicks Ahoy calling for a team timeout. Take an opportunity to talk a bit about the 1234 Skate Co. Going strong since January 2012, a very specific beginning. The small company has big heart, owned and operated by current Toronto Roller Derby all-star Lucid Lou. Lucid's dedicated to getting skaters suited up with gear that works for them and makes sure it fits properly. The goal of 1234 is to educate skaters on skate maintenance, injury prevention from a gear and skate perspective. For more information, visit them online at 1234, that's all spelled out, skateco.com. Look there at the penalty box. We're seeing Gorshak and Bigley Smalls in the box right now for the Chicks Ahoy. Gore's now just kind of gathering on the track. Jillamal with the loose elbow pad that now she's going to fix. Talking with her teammates, doing a bit of captain work. Chicks, meanwhile, have been having their conference at the bench as a team. They're going to put out Scandinavian, Moxcar, and Rosemary's Rabies up front, except they realize that's one more person than they're allowed to. Scandinavian returns to the bench.
I'm going to see here, looks like a 4-on-2 pack advantage for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. Both Boxcar and Rosemary's Rabies having a great showing so far in this game. A good choice to try and defend against the Gore's Jammer Lexicon. But Lexicon, a lot of strength, a lot of push up that center.
Pack starts to fall apart. Moose Knuckles, though, gets back up, and that's going to allow Lexi to get through, picking up lead status. Monster Muffin still with some work to do, coming around turn 2. Knocked to the infield by Moose Knuckles, up in a hurry. Meanwhile, Lexi is on a scoring pass, hits the back of Lexicon hard. And a back blocking penalty issued to Lexicon. This is now a power jam for Monster Muffin and the Chicks Ahoy.
It's a really lucky break for the Chicks Ahoy here. It's a very fast pack when Lexicon approached. They weren't really ready for that defense, but that penalty has allowed them to sort of regroup. The box is emptied for the Chicks Ahoy. Again, Bigley Smalls with a big hit to the inside, and again, another forearm for Bigley Smalls, like you do. Monster Muffin squeaks around Jillamal, completes a 5-point grand slam.
You saw how the Chicks were setting up for that last pass there by Monster Muffin with the bookends. They both come in, shutting those elevator doors, left a little bit of a gap, though, and that's what I think where Bigley got caught up and leveled that forearm.
Lexicon streaks out of the penalty box unnoticed, picks up a 5-point grand slam. Monster Muffin now heading to the box on a back block call.
Back blocking the penalty du jour.
We are trading penalties right now. And a back block, an easy call to get right now with the current climate of roller derby favoring a really hot entry to the pack by the jammers, as well as just a very slippery floor here at the bunker. Oh.
Bigley somehow got the rug pulled out from under her there by Moose Knuckles. Goes over the line to the outside. No penalty called. Some boos from the crowd here. Bigley comes in a high and a hot against Lexi. No calls being made.
Still going to end up being a 15-point jam for Lexicon. 8 points for Monster at the end of that jam. Your score 112-92. 30 points separating the Gores from the Chicks Ahoy.
And things are starting to get a little chippy here, getting a little more physical, a little more violent.
I mean, I think the Gores realize they're within striking distance, and
they've never been out of striking distance actually in this game, right?
No, and as the clock winds down, I think the Chicks are a little less confident that this lead hasn't grown any more than it has at the beginning of the game.
Sleeper trying to swim through, does get around the back of Chronic, picking up lead status. Murder Cat completes her initial pass, about a third of a lap behind.
Sleeper hold, taking a few seconds to try and pick up some points. Gets knocked to the infield, picks up 2 points for the Chicks Ahoy in that jam.
I'd say for the rest of this half, Pink, barring the odd power jam, which of course can still happen, we're going to be seeing a lot more of these 2-0, 3-0, 4-0s. People trying to protect that lead. The risks going down a bit. Mm-hmm. As we get close to the end, Gores will probably start taking more of those risks. But I see the Chicks starting to play a little more conservatively.
Yeah, we're going to start seeing, I think, if the lead stays the way it is, some time killing by the Chicks Ahoy here. But right now, there's no time to stop Beaver Mansbridge, lead jammer for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. Banshee recycled to the back by Full Deck, but takes advantage of the chaos and races up the outside in around turn one.
Banshee
Absolutely
with incredible speed. Beaver with the agility.
Acceleration, going straight shot up the straightaway. How she can go from 0 to 60. Very much like Bambi, a former Gore-Gore roller girl, actually. Sort of reminiscent of that style of just slinky and fast and slippery and wily. Suspicious. I mean, I'm not saying she's using black magic. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense that you can accelerate that fast going straight forward. I'm just saying it's not science.
Wachter now taking a turn with the star for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. Up front, battling against Bigley, Gorshak, and Angard.
Tara Bush and Victory Lap hitting some really punishing hits here on R2 Smack You. Joss Whelan trying to provide some offense. And another forearm, but this time to R2 Smack You, who's going to mean a power jam for Wachter of the Gore-Gore RollerGirls.
Nope. Wachter, also both jammers are taking track cutting penalties at the same time. So it'll be a fairly quick in and out. Wachter's in and out of the box first, followed shortly by R2 Smack You. This one, of course, going the full deuce. No lead jammer for the duration.
My bad, that forearm was for Bigley Smalls. I'm starting to believe it's a gang sign that only she understands.
Gorshak for a blocking out of play penalty. That was a good 30 feet out.
Yeah.
She knew. She went right to the box.
Gores separated here, but still doing a good job of holding back R2 Smack You, and I'm seeing some arms in the air for Wachter as she picks up another 5-point grand slam.
Yeah, that's going to take the Gores over the century mark. They're at 101. They're only 13 points back now. Gillimal with the attempt on R2 does take her down. R2 cuts the track. This is now another power jam. Wachter is staying on the track, not picking up her own penalty. Wachter making some noise.
The frustration from R2, and the crowd is going ballistic now as Gores are poised to surpass the Chicks Ahoy as Wachter makes it up the outside. Knocked to the out by Joss Whelan.
A little bit of help there, I think, from Bigley Smalls.
Absolutely.
So we'll have to see if she was able to pick up any points on the beginning of that as the jam clock runs out. What's she going to get? And it is a lead change for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls.
I don't know if you can hear the ambient noise in here, but people are freaking out. They're freaking out. The Gores are on their feet. It's 116 to 114 now with 13 and a half minutes left in the game. A 20-point jam for Wachter and the Gore-Gore RollerGirls.
R2 is standing in the penalty box to start this one, but it is a power start for Lexicon. People can't even hear the start whistle. It got that loud in here. Lexi coming around looking for that opening on the inside. Sleeper hold up there with the pivot stripe. Look for potential star pass from R2. Sleeper is up at the front though, bracing that wall.
R2 looking to get lead while it's still available, pushing up the front. This pack is so spread out, and it's lead jammer to R2. Smack you.
Coming out of the box to pick that up. Meanwhile, a star pass on the Gore side. Jill Amal now wearing the star for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls.
R2 looking to pick up some points. She calls off that jam. The whistle we heard was for Tara Bush, not for R2.
And we now have a tie game. 2 points from the Chicks. Tied at 116 apiece. 12 minutes plus on the period clock.
You can see Sleeper hold wearing the pivot stripe yet again in this jam. I think Chicks here are looking to stem the flow. Not so much score as just prevent the Gores on this runaway streak they're on.
And just in the nick of time, we've got Tess D'Urberville wearing the A for the Chicks Ahoy, comes running out, does the signal for an official review. So the Chicks Ahoy taking that review now. 12:11 is where the clock is stopped. Chicks do have one more timeout at their disposal. Gores have 2 timeouts and their OR for the half available.
So we can take this minute to tell you about Monster Muffin, who's wearing the star right now. She has a clothing company at monstermuffin.com with a studio only 30 minutes north of Toronto. You can't get much more local than this. Monster Muffin clothing is proudly made in Canada, providing quality derby apparel to the world. Check them out and fall in love at monstermuffin.com.
Oh, we just had Valentine's Day, actually, like a week and a bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of falling in love.
Yeah. I mean, you can fall in love anytime. And I can't imagine any Valentine who would be disappointed with a pair of booty shorts. Just write a card that says hint, hint.
So the crowd is becoming a factor here at the bunker. Very vocal, very active right now.
Some guy with a microphone, like, just screaming.
I'm going to see if I can get an update on the official review.
And while we're looking into the official review, I can tell you about Devil's X, Toronto Roller Derby's new sponsor, the Devil's X Axe Slinging Recreation and Ass Kicking Fitness. Check them out at 272 Geary Avenue in Toronto or at the Devil's X, that's DEVILSX.com. All
right, sorry, I had to get some clarification there from Penny Whistler. The official review that was called by the Chicks Ahoy, they were trying to get a procedural penalty issued against the Gore-Gore RollerGirls for an illegal star pass, saying that it happened when the Gores jammer was on the ground. However, that was not ruled to have been the case, so the Chicks Ahoy do not retain their official review. The no call stands.
All right, starting off this jam, we've got Monster Muffin jamming for the Chicks Ahoy and Beaver Mansbridge jamming for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls, again with that trademark quickness and the switching up of sides. She's just trying to lead this cube formation far enough away that she can get her opening. We got a high block penalty going to Joss Whelan, it looks like.
And a forearm penalty being issued to Beaver Mansbridge. That makes this a power jam for your lead jammer, who is Monster Muffin. Chicks Ahoy in the driver's seat here, 11 and a half minutes.
The crowd has some opinions about that.
It's a very opinionated crowd, which
right?
can only be a good thing. That means this is an educated crowd. It's a smart crowd. It's a passionate crowd that has...
Absolutely.
They've got a horse in this
Lightning
race.
with a big pick on the front there, giving Monster Muffin a chance to make it through that Gores defense. 5 fingers in the air for a grand slam. Beaver Mansbridge standing in the penalty box. Sleeper hold drawing the pack way back, hoping to let Monster push out of play, and some very serious blocking here by Chronic sends her to the floor.
Badge Lightning is getting a misconduct and kind of nodded as she went by the Gore's bench like, yeah, I did hit a down skater.
Yeah.
It wasn't a high impact, but she did make contact with the down skater, so she's taking a misconduct penalty.
Tara Bush taking Monster Muffin to the outside of turn 2, and she calls off that jam, looking a little bit worse for the wear. Still, though, 5 points in the air. A 10-point pickup for the Chicks Ahoy means your score now 126 to 116. 10.5 minutes left.
10.5 minutes left. 10 points even, not 10.5 points. 10-point even lead here for the Chicks Ahoy. 126 to 116. Timeout being signaled here by the Gore-Gore RollerGirls, so they're going to stop the clock at 10:20.
And it looks like from here we have 3 Chicks skaters now on 5 penalties, and I imagine one of them is probably Bigley Smalls. Perhaps another one is Boxcar.
An educated guess.
Educated guess. I cannot see from here. Hashtag behind the bench announcing.
Looking at Badge Lightning there in the penalty box, conferring with one of the NSOs.
Looking very relaxed for someone who just got a misconduct.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not saying she's proud, I'm just saying.
Well, it wasn't gross, so there's that.
No, it was a clean, hygienic misconduct.
Quick moment here to also do a quick shout out to our camera people. We've got Demolition Dawn, we've got Jenny Specter, and Free Range Clam working the cameras. Of course, our producer is Honey Boom Boom.
We've got some big fans of the timeout signal on the corner here. Look at that.
Well, Flying Brian is the jam timer for this game, and we know MC Flybright can't do it all by himself.
If you're gonna NSO, do it with flourish.
Yeah.
You know, bring your own flavor.
Just to wrap up our crew here, yes, Honey Boom Boom is our producer, and of course the brains and brawn behind layer9.ca. That's Mr. Force. If you're watching on layer9.ca, you will see a little PayPal donation box. By all means, please click it. That helps pay for
she
our
raced up
costs.
the outside and got lead jimmer. It happened again. Lead jimmer for the Chicks Ahoy. I can barely hear myself speak. Lexicon chasing her down.
Your voice went up a couple of octaves there.
Oh, I do it again.
But Banshee, again, with incredible speed, goes to the outside of turn 4, picks up a solitary point, 127-116, 9.5 minutes left in the second half.
1 minute in heaven is better than no minutes in heaven. And 1 point on the board is better than no points on the board. When it's this close. Mr. Whistler is speechless. And Sleeper Hold is wearing the star for the Chicks Ahoy. We've got an official timeout called by the referee crew, it looks like. So it looks like this next jam is going to be Sleeper Hold versus Murder Cat, which is sure to be an entertaining run.
And as I was starting to say, and I got cut off by the jam last time, there is a donation box, a PayPal donation box on layer9.ca. Every little donation helps defray costs of streaming, equipment. This is all coming out of pocket. This is not a commercial enterprise. So by all means, anything you can do to help would be well appreciated. And of course, this will be the production technical crew behind Quad City Chaos when it comes March 19th and 20th. Again, big announcements coming on Monday online on all of our media channels about participating teams, schedule, and ticket information.
And if you've ever, as a skater, watched yourself on Layer 9, or if you're tuning in right now, just throw a couple dollars to Mr. Force. He made this all happen for you. Sleeper Hold pushing up the center against Wachter and Chronic. They're trying to take her to the outside. Meanwhile, Murder Cat headed to the box on a cut penalty, which means a power jam for the Chicks Ahoy. Lead jammer going to Sleeper Hold. Again, several opinions about that event in the crowd.
I'm actually hearing some opinions in favor.
Yes.
There are some naysayers.
Some
in
yays
the
and nays in the crowd. Sleeper Hold races up, picks up a quick 5 points during this power jam.
Yeah, Chronic blows a tire there slightly, but no contact there with Sleeper, so Sleeper does complete that scoring pass.
Sleeper Hold not slowing down. 5-point grand slam. We've got Murder Cat standing in the penalty box.
Sleeper and Tara, probably the two tallest skaters in this game, towering over. Tara, though, getting segregated there by Bigley Smalls, unable to make any contact. Sleeper already with 15 points.
This is exactly what the Chicks Ahoy needed, and exactly at the right time. A sleeper hold power jam is the stuff dreams are made of.
Murder Cat is on the track, star in hand, gold helmet there between turns 3 and 4. Sleeper Hold has now hit 19 points on this jam.
Murder Cat with the stash being held up by Vag Lightning in the front here. A little help from Victory Lap with that pass. She's absorbed by Bigley and Angard. Sleeper Hold working on her 5th scoring pass. Joss Whelan headed to the box at an out-of-play penalty.
And that jam finally winds to a close. We do get 4 points on the board there for
the Gore-Gore RollerGirls.
For Victory Lap and the Gores.
That's a 22-4 jam in favor of the Chicks Ahoy. Your score now 149-120. Still, though, only 29 points separating these teams and 7 minutes left to do something about it.
That's right. So a few minutes ago, we did have that brief 2-point lead for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. 7 minutes here, 29-point difference. We're starting to see those bigger jams. Like I said, they could make that difference. I do think we're going to see a lot more small chipping away. Beaver Mansbridge taking the lead here. Ardu Smaku already has the star in hand, handing it off to Rosemary's Rabies.
And that quick stash is what made it possible. Rosemary's Rabies taken to the outside of turn 2.
Somebody's getting
a cut. It looks like Moose Knuckles headed to the box. Oh, Rosemary's Rabies has a forearm penalty. No, a track cut penalty, my bad.
Well, we had a bit of confusion there because we saw MK and Rabies hitting the box at the same time.
One thing that can compare with a sleeper hold power jam is a Beaver Mansbridge power jam, which is exactly what the Gores were looking for here.
Yeah, Beaver high up on the toe stops right now, looking for an opportunity around the outside. Going to call it, not seeing that opening, doesn't want to waste the time. The Gores are going to be able to send out a fresh Lexicon. 8 points do come in there, so that lead is now down to 21 points. Again, Lexicon will have the star. Rosemary's Rabies is standing in the penalty box.
Yeah, it's smart call by Beaver Mansbridge. Time is not on the Gores side, and if it's not there, it's just not there. Fresh jam is going to mean another chance to get lead jammer, another chance to run up the score, especially if R2 gets trapped again.
And I think that's one of the things that makes Beaver Mansbridge such a dangerous jammer also to play against, is that she's not going to take those risks.
She's a very smart jammer for sure, and she's one of the veteran Gores. Seeing her here get absorbed again by Bigley Smalls, but Lexicon gets lead jammer. R2 Smack You racing up. Oh, sorry, Rosemary's Rabies. Forgot who I was for a second. Rosemary's Rabies racing up the front.
Chronic with a multiplayer block visiting the box. Lexicon just stays in bounds. Nice skate control there. Knows where that rope line is. Putting up 5 points for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls.
A lot of volume here as the situation gets a little more dire for the Chicks Ahoy. Lexicon doing a great job of splitting up that blocker formation, spreading out that pack. Rosemary's Rabies finally out as Lexicon puts up another 5 points on the board. A 10-point jam right now for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls puts them within 9 points of the Chicks Ahoy, and she is running it long.
And she's going to go for it. Going to trust the blockers. What happens there on the other side of the pillar is Rosemary's Rabies cuts the track as the jam is called.
That's not what they wanted.
That is probably the opposite of what the Chicks Ahoy wanted on that jam. 13 points come in for Lexi and the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. Lexi looking gassed, getting a big hug from Beaver at the bench.
We are 8 points now separating these two teams, 141-149. Less than 4 minutes left in the game. Power jam start for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls and pack advantage. Murder Cat is on the job.
Chicks Ahoy also have their pivot, Bigley Smalls, in the penalty box on her 6th penalty.
Crowd goes wild as Murder Cat cinches lead jammer status, and she is on a tear. You would not know that she's played an entire game here. She is just full speed ahead.
Comes around the outside, sidesteps a couple of hits from Slamminade and Sleeper Hold. And the look of amazement on Slamminaide's face, like, how did that not hurt you?
Absolutely beautiful skating. It just stays up the entire time. Some serious blocking here from the Chicks Ahoy, but she just brushes it off. It's a 5-point jam so far for Murder Cat.
Rabies is back on, just completes her initial pass. Murder Cat almost calls it, takes the hands away from the hips. Now does return to the hips, calls it. 4 points, and that's a lead change.
Lands in her benchmaker's lap almost. And we have 150 for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls to 149 for the Chicks Ahoy. 2 minutes, 45 seconds remaining. You are glad you tuned in. I can tell. I can tell from here.
I'm glad I came.
Yes.
Myself, actually. But definitely, if you are watching this at home right now, this is when you should be standing. If you do have your laptop in your lap, please put that down first. You can watch it while you're standing. This one is getting everybody on their feet here in the bunker. The noise comes and goes and waves as Beaver Mansbridge, again with the lead status. Monster Muffin trapped at the pivot line.
The building is on its feet. Beaver Mansbridge tearing up the inside. We have 2 minutes of period time, and it's a track cut for Beaver Mansbridge. Power jam, 2-minute jam for the Chicks Ahoy. This is going to be your second to last jam in this game.
Each team has a timeout on the board. Gores also still own their official review. But there is more time on the period clock than the jam clock, so there is the opportunity to stop that clock when this one winds down. Chicks have retaken the lead, 154 to 150. Still a full minute left in this jam.
The crowd is on their feet, and that's another 4-point pass for Monster Muffin. 1 no pass, no penalty there.
Beaver's
Beaver
back on.
Returns from the box, picks up a 5-point grand slam. And Monster Muffin knocks full deck to the ground, picks up another 4 points of her own. We are trading back and forth in the dying minutes of the game.
Beaver trying to find the opening, threads the needle, gets around Slamminade somehow. Monster Muffin not taken over the line there by the Gores blockers, though.
Big space left open for her there. She just slides right by.
7-point difference right now. Beaver Mansbridge can't take the outside, looks for the inside, and that's where Monster Muffin's going. Monster Muffin running into Susie Scalper, and looks like full deck.
Oh, big recycle here to the back by Sleeper Hold. Killing that time. Vaj Lightning heads to the box. Another 4 points go on the board for Monster Muffin. 2 seconds left.
Beaver just gassed at the end. Does put up 4 more points.
Unbelievable.
Single digits, waiting to see who's going to stop the clock. And that timeout is called by the Gore-Gore RollerGirls.
21 points for Monster Muffin in that jam. 13 picked up by Beaver Mansbridge.
You know the Chicks, of course, they're not going to call that timeout and stop the clock when they've got that 7-point lead. The Gores, though, they're smelling blood. They've been smelling blood this entire second half, Pink.
Oh, absolutely. And we said it at the beginning that these are two very well-matched teams, almost identical point differentials over the season. They performed almost identically against their opponents. And right now, Chicks are looking to get lead and call it, versus Gores just want as much time as they can get to run up that score.
Taking a quick look at the whiteboard. And yes, Bigley Smalls sitting on 6 trips. She's out on the track. Gores have 2 skaters with 6 box trips as well, and they are Wachter and Chronic.
Boxcar wearing the star for the very first time this game. She is on 5 penalties. Will she be able to get out first and get out cleanly and waste that 8 seconds on the clock?
Sleeper Hold is wearing the pivot stripe. Potential for a star pass if need be. Lexicon has Jillamal as her pivot. Lexi looks for the outside, comes to the inside, which is her playground. Boxcar trapped now behind a wall of leopard print.
Gores playing smart with that offense. With Jillamal recycling Boxcar to the back. Lexicon, your lead jammer for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. Boxcar recycled once again.
And however this one
stash.
ends, the Gores are controlling their own destiny right now. Lexicon can't get through on this scoring pass. Boxcar with the initial pass.
Boxcar makes it out, and Chicks are full defense right now. Lexicon's looking to her bench and
like, can I call it? They're like,
no
you
time
can't.
left.
You can't. This is all
This
you.
is all you get.
Gamma Ray hits the deck hard, but back up in a hurry. Lexi recycled through the infield. Boxcar scoring for the Chicks Ahoy with 4 points.
Chicks Ahoy pulling farther away. Lexicon now with the stash. She doesn't feel confident about scoring herself, but Jillamal is right at the front of the pack, not ready for that pass. Big recycle here from Sleeper Hold as the Chicks Ahoy pick up another 5-point grand slam. Jam is called.
Lexi runs out of steam, has to call it. That jam does get 5 points, but that jam goes 10-5 for the Chicks Ahoy. And the Chicks Ahoy putting up their first unbeaten regular season, I believe, since 2012, if my math is correct.
You can see it all over their faces. Of course, both these teams were still going to move on to play each other in the quarterfinals, but it's an emotional victory for the Chicks Ahoy. It really looked hairy there for them for a while. And, I mean, the Gores really showed how much ground they can cover.
This one was in doubt until we were about -10 on the period clock. And after Boxcar got those first 4 points, Lexi unable to make any noise there with that lead status. You can see she knew that things were not going in her favor, wanted to be able to call it, knew she couldn't, had to reset. Does still pick up 5 points on that one.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, though, because Boxcar had already put up a 10 spot for the Chicks Ahoy.
Well, Lexicon, a very important part of the Gores Jammer rotation, also an all-star this season. This game is still going to end up with the same result no matter who won, so sometimes you just look and you say, do I want to fall flat on my face again? Do I want to risk an injury, or do I want to just go for it?
So what this sets up, of course, is March 12th, the Battle for the Boot quarterfinals, the 10th season of Toronto Roller Derby, 10th season of the Battle for the Boot playoffs. The quarterfinals, the first game at 5 o'clock that night will be the 3-4 game. So the third place Death Track Dolls will take on the fourth place Smoke City Betties.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 7 o'clock, these same two teams who just put on this epic game, they're going to be facing off yet again that evening. In the 1-2 game. Winner of that game will advance directly to the Battle for the Boot in June. The team that does not win will go on to the semifinal in April against the winner of the 3-4 semifinal. And we're wrapping things up here shortly. Your final score is 180 for the Chicks Ahoy, 168 for the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. And we're going to start doing some post-game interviews, I believe.
Absolutely. We've got one Chick and one Gore, who are going to be telling us a little bit about what it was like out there on the track.
So I'm going to sign off. I've been Mr. Whistler. You still are Pink Slamminade.
Still.
And I believe you'll have Monster Muffin with you shortly.
Yeah. Okay, I'm here with Monster Muffin from the Chicks Ahoy, who just played a very intense, very exciting game out there. So how did the second half feel compared to the first half?
Second half, well, you're coming into it, I don't know, like your body's all warmed up and ready to go, but at the same time, you're kind of exhausted. So it's just more of a mental game after that. Anything that we did in the first half that we felt like we worked, we tried our best to replicate it, and then things that weren't working, fix them.
Yeah, and how did you feel that the Gore's games, the Gore-Gore RollerGirls girls' game changed as they came back from the change room? Because you held a 30-point lead over them for a long time, and then they closed that in around 3/4 of the way through.
Sorry, what was the question? I'm so
how did their game change as they closed that lead? What were they doing to advance upon you?
It's hard for me to say sometimes when you're jamming and you're in the middle of the pack. Sometimes all you see is like helmets and backs and but I feel like they came together to be more tight.
Yeah.
I think that was it. They were holding a lot better. and keeping their speed slow.
All right. And so how did you feel that the venue played into your performance out there with the floor, the pillars, the sound?
Honestly, you don't even notice, the pillars. Maybe because I skate here all the time and I'm used to it, but I don't find that it affects my gameplay at all. And what was the other part of it?
The sound and the
Sound.
floor.
I found that the acoustic here is really great. Like, you hear the crowd cheering. I find that at some other events you don't, and so you're just really focused in the game. But no matter how focused you are in the game here, you really do hear the fans, and it's a really good feeling when you get that extra pat on the back. The floor tonight I found actually was a really good mix of slip and grip. Sometimes it's a little more slippery here, but I found tonight that it really just worked for me.
Okay, well, congratulations, Monster Muffin.
Thank you.
Enjoy your post-game victory cheer.
Oh my God, I will.
And post-game victory beer.
Thanks, Slamminade. Wow, these are so big.
So I'm here. We good, Mr. Force? All right. I'm here with Full Deck from the Gore-Gore RollerGirls. And so going into this game, the Chicks Ahoy and the Gore-Gore RollerGirls had about the same point differentials against Smoke City Betty and the Death Track Dolls. So pretty evenly matched going into this. How did you prepare for playing the Chicks?
That's a very good question. I've actually been out of the country until the past couple of weeks.
Oh.
But I know, at least like in talking to people while I was gone, we focused a lot on just like doing the things that we already did better, like staying tighter, staying stronger. Because our games are so close together, there wasn't a lot of time to learn a new thing and perfect it. So we focused on the things that we already knew and already did well.
Yeah.
And just doing them better.
Depth over breadth.
Being better.
Yeah. It started off a little hairy with like a lot of penalties at the beginning. We saw something similar against the Dolls, but then you kept the point differential very consistent and then overtook in that last sort of quarter of the game. What did you do differently to really burst forward, do you think?
We focused on being a lot calmer.
Yeah.
I find that the beginning of games gets very like crazy, and everyone and every team is a new team every year, so you don't know what's coming your way. And then as soon as you have a chance to be like, oh, we're playing roller derby again, and these are the things that these people are doing, we can just kind of collect ourselves and yeah.
How did you feel like the conditions of the track, the pillars, the sound here in the venue affected the game for you?
I kind of zone everything out. I just licked the mic. I kind of zone everything out when I'm playing. The sound gets really loud when people are yelling all the time. But I'd say that the acoustics work both in your favor and against it, because it's a little bit difficult to hear people, but at the same time that noise creates like a white noise where you just don't really know, like all of it just kind of blends into each other. The floor is on the slippier side. Today was a little grippier, but we definitely don't have sport court. It's polished cement or concrete, so it gives you some slide. I would if you're gonna play here, I would pack your grippier wheels.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Well, congratulations on going in rank 2. You're going to be able to play the Chicks Ahoy again.
Oh my God, so exciting!
Yeah,
I love close games.
Yeah, and so we're looking forward to that coming up in 3 weeks here at the bunker. It's going to be wild. I was so happy to watch this game. Congratulations.
Cool. Thank you. Congratulations to you.
And back to you.